Affordable wedding food that feels like luxury. Now, wedding food is one of the biggest expenses that couples face when planning their big day. In fact, catering alone can take up a huge portion of your wedding budget. Now, if you are a bride with unlimited resources or someone is paying for your wedding, that's actually not that big of a deal. But if you are someone who is trying to limit what they spend for their wedding, it can be a little daunting. But here's something that many couples don't realize. Luxury wedding food isn't always about expensive ingredients or these elaborate multi-course meals. What actually makes food feel luxurious often comes down to presentation, creativity, and a lot of good old-fashioned planning. Some of the most memorable wedding meals are actually surprisingly simple. So in this video, we're going to talk about affordable wedding food ideas that still feel elegant and elevated. These are options that keep your budget in check while still giving your guests an experience that feels special and memorable. Because at the end of the day, great wedding food isn't about impressing people with price. It's about creating a warm and enjoyable experience for everyone situated around the table. Welcome back to Your Dream Wedding 365, your YouTube wedding channel. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss a video. So my first tip is to focus on quality over quantity. Now, one of the biggest mistakes couples make is trying to offer too many options. This isn't Golden Corral. We don't need to have 30 different things there. So I'm not saying to limit the amount of food that you have. I'm not saying let anyone go hungry. But what I'm saying is that one of the biggest mistakes that couples often make is trying to offer way too many options. Instead of serving this massive menu with several average type dishes, it's often better to choose 2 or 3 items that are prepared beautifully and taste amazing. For example, a carefully plated meal with roasted chicken, some seasonal vegetables, which are in season so they're going to be cheaper, and creamy mashed potatoes can feel incredibly elegant when presented well. I was working with a bride who didn't have much money at all, but she still wanted this really elegant affair. And you know what happened? Her family actually did the cooking, and all they did was get, I think it was around 5 or 6 whole chickens, cut them up, roast them really nicely in the oven. They did boxed mashed potatoes. They just kind of did it up with like milk and cream cheese and all that. And then they chose seasonal vegetables, which are in season, so they are a lot cheaper. Now that compared to the catering estimate she got was a crazy amount better. But here was the trick. I had them watch several YouTube videos about plating foods, how to plate them, what it should look like. And her wedding ended up being so classy, so luxurious, and so elegant. And it's all really because of the plating that they used. When food is thoughtfully prepared and beautifully plated, guests notice the quality rather than the cost of it. Next tip, consider family-style dining. Now, family-style dining is becoming increasingly popular at weddings, and it's actually really easy to see why. Instead of each guest receiving an individual plated meal, dishes are placed on the table and shared amongst the guests. Now, this style creates a warm, welcoming atmosphere and encourages conversation around the table. Oh, hi, it's nice to meet you. Could you pass the potatoes? It also tends to be more affordable than individually plated meals while still feeling elevated and intentional. Remember, with the individually plated meals, you have to hire people to plate those meals and hire people to deliver those meals per table. A lot of those hidden costs add up. Large platters of roasted vegetables, pasta, or beautifully prepared meats can look incredibly abundant and inviting. Guests often feel like they're enjoying a special dinner party rather than a formal catered event. I'll tell you about another wedding I helped with. Once again, a very low cost wedding. They wanted it to look elegant, so I suggested family style dining. They had 8 tables at the wedding. The person got 8 whole chickens and went ahead and cut them up and served them on platters at each table. And let me tell you, paying for 8 chickens at your local grocery store is so much more economical than having a catering company come and essentially do the same thing but charge you quadruple the amounts. Guests often feel like they're enjoying a special dinner party rather than a formal catered event. My next tip: choose seasonal ingredients. I touched on this a little bit before, but let me spell it out for you. One of the smartest ways to keep wedding food affordable while maintaining quality is choosing ingredients that are in season. Seasonal ingredients are usually less expensive because they are much more readily available, and they also tend to taste a lot better. For example, a summer wedding might feature fresh tomatoes, grilled vegetables, and really bright, vibrant salads. A fall wedding could include roasted squash, warm soups, and really hearty comfort foods. Seasonal menus naturally feel thoughtful and fresh, which adds to the overall luxury experience. My next tip: elevate simple foods. Some of the most luxurious filling wedding foods are actually very simple dishes with small elevated touches. This is another great example of where family or friends that can help you gather this together is going to save you a ton of money. So think about the regular comfort foods that we already know how to make, but you're just going to present it a little more refined. At the same wedding I told you about that had the roasted chickens, for an appetizer, they were trying to figure out what to do. I suggested grilled cheese sandwiches and everyone looked at me. But here's why: they're very easy to make, they're very quick to make. When you got them done, I had them cut them diagonal, and the tomato soup that they had with it, instead of just served in a big old bowl, they were served in little shooter cups. So we put a little chive piece on top, and what you're left with is this super elegant look, when honestly it's just grilled cheese sandwiches and tomato soup. This was perfect for appetizers, and they were super cheap to make. Now, you can also do gourmet mac and cheese served in really elegant shooter bowls or something, or even hand-carved roast beef sliders served on artisan rolls. Now, the hand-carved roast beef sounds expensive, right? Not really. You can go to Sam's or Costco and pick up a package for around $18, and that will conclude your appetizer costs once you add the rolls in. There are so many ways that you can do something kind of cheaply and still make it look elegant. That's where your creativity comes in. And these kind of foods feel both familiar and indulgent. Guests love food that tastes comforting, but is presented in a really creative, elegant, beautiful way. My next tip: create interactive food stations. Now, food stations are another fantastic way to make wedding catering feel exciting without dramatically increasing cost. Instead of a traditional plated meal where all the food goes on a plate and is delivered to your guests can actually stand up and visit different stations around the reception space. Don't let me saying the word station make you think that it's just some really big elaborate process. A station can just be a table set up with nice decor that's going to feature one item or another item. So they could have like a pasta bar. That's a really easy and quick way to set up a station. A taco station, a carving station, build your own mashed potato bars, a flatbread or pizza station. Interactive food stations add a sense of energy to the reception and give guests more freedom to choose what they like. They also naturally create movement and conversation throughout the evening. My tip would have 1 or 2 people there to kind of not necessarily help with catering, but if you have older guests there that may not want to get up and do the walking around, they can take their order and then go stand in line for them and deliver it to them. But you don't need more than 2 people doing that. Next tip, don't overlook elegant appetizers. Now, we talked about this a little bit before, but let's dive a little deeper into it. Appetizers are often one of the easiest ways to add a touch of luxury to your wedding menu. You know, in a different video, we've talked about the fact that sometimes there can be a gap in time between the time that the wedding is over and the reception starts. And if you're having an afternoon or early evening wedding, sometimes your guests can get a little hungry. That's when appetizers are perfect. Small bites can look incredibly refined while remaining very affordable. So this is your time to shine. Go ahead and head to your local Sam's or your local Costco, even Walmart, and just pick up little things that you can make appetizers with. For example, you can have caprese skewers, mini bruschetta, stuffed mushrooms, even crostini with spreads or shrimp shooters. Some of this stuff sounds so elegant, but if you look up YouTube videos, you'll see how easy they are to put together. This is something for your family or friends to do the night before, and it's going to cut that cost down for you. Also, when served during cocktail hour on elegant trays or grazing tables, these small bites can feel incredibly sophisticated. Guests will remember the experience of mingling and enjoying beautiful appetizers just as much as the main meal. My next tip would be to keep desserts simple and beautiful. Wedding cakes are traditional, of course, but many couples are now exploring alternative dessert options that are both beautiful and budget-friendly. Now, a dessert table filled with small treats can look stunning and give guests some variety. You will be surprised how many guests actually don't really like the wedding cake. It's more for the bride and groom. So my suggestion to a lot of couples now are just get a really small wedding cake. Now that's going to cut down cost for you while allowing your guests to get a lot more variety. So think about options like mini cheesecakes, macarons, cupcakes, chocolate truffles, cookies, and everything I just named you can pick up at your Sam's, your Costco, your Walmart, even Amazon in some cases, and it's going to be a lot cheaper than getting a humongous wedding cake. And once again, when displayed on elegant trays or tiered stands, dessert tables can become a centerpiece of your reception. They also allow guests to really just choose what they enjoy the most. And my final tip is this. I don't know if you've noticed like a trend here with this whole video, but presentation makes everything feel expensive. If there is one secret that professional wedding planners like myself know, it's this. Presentation matters just as much as the food itself. Simple foods can feel incredibly luxurious when served on beautiful plates, when arranged thoughtfully and displayed in an elegant setting. Details like linen napkins, candlelight, wooden serving boards, and decorative platters can instantly elevate a dining experience. When everything looks intentional and cohesive, guests perceive the entire meal as high-end. So here are my final thoughts. Creating a luxury wedding experience doesn't always require a luxury price tag. Often, the most memorable meals come from thoughtful choices, simple ingredients, and most of all, a beautiful presentation. By focusing on quality, seasonal ingredients, interactive food ideas, elegant displays, you can create a wedding menu that feels special and unforgettable. Your guests will remember how beautiful your wedding reception looked, how good it made them feel, how great the food tasted, and you're going to remember how you didn't spend an arm and a leg to achieve that. And honestly, that's ultimately what makes a wedding meal truly luxurious. Thank you all for hanging out and watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'm going to link some of what I talked about down below in the description box if you are planning a wedding right now, just so you can get an idea of some of the things that I'm talking about. I think it'll be super helpful for you. I will see you in the next video. Bye guys.